Hi, it's so awesome to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Like you said, I'm Janine, and I'm just here to share the work, share the enthusiasm, and hopefully give people some insight on where the future of work and the future of life is headed.
It's interesting you said the future of work. I mean, I've got some specific questions, but I think post COVID, I think if you said the future of work 3 years ago, people are like, well, whatever. I think now, though, the future of work is completely different. Give me a couple of sentences on what are the big thoughts you have on that.
Really, it's the future of being human again, right? And really
Oh,
tapping
okay.
into our innate abilities that we came here. And my background is actually in elementary ed. I have
Mm,
my undergraduate work at UCLA was just humans getting here, right? Humans learning and humans exploring and just those early years in life. And then I ran a nonprofit for the graduates of the elementary school I taught at
uh,
Alumni 360. And what we did there was we just looked at teenagehood and entrepreneurship and how to be creative in that transition part. And then I taught at a local university at Cal State, and I got to work with teachers bringing in the arts and creative thinking into their curriculum. And so what that did, it just put me in an interesting spot of basically seeing the whole timeline. In 1 week, I was working with a 4-year-old all the way to a 64-year-old,
mm,
and it really positioned me to ask a question like, what are the true gifts, the true talents and skills we need for a life well lived, especially within this transition that we are in now. And that's really what is the impetus of the work that we'll talk about today.
I have been interested in creativity since probably middle school. When I started my first little business, it was an art-based business. And I've been interested in what would make me creative, what would inspire me, and what inspires other people. And that's been a theme my whole life, trying to understand that. And when you're not feeling creative, how can you be creative? And you use words matter, right? And you use words in a really interesting way. So explain to us, what do you mean by intercultural creativity and how that differs from traditional views of creativity?
Sure. Well, I really was, when I left the classroom in 2019, 6 months before the pandemic hit, didn't know that was around the corner. I
Right.
really wanted to focus on creative thinking because that's what I was doing in my previous work. And then once I really dived into the cultural aspect, and when I say culture, I don't just mean ethnicity and nationality. A culture is a group of people with just agreed upon attitudes and beliefs. You can have like a soccer mom culture, right?
Sure.
Or tech
Sure.
culture. And I did some of that work within my elementary school as well. But then I saw that the cultural lenses of people, just different groups that they identify with or their upbringing, highly affects their creative identity and their creative
Mm.
output, and how they even define creativity. And also, we looked at what creativity sits on. And yes, for the viewers who are having the video aspect of this, I have a brain in my hand. And when you think about
You're going all
creativity,
Jill Bolte
brain.
Taylor on me right now.
Well, don't forget, I am an elementary school teacher by trade, right? So we love hands-on things, and it sits on your ability to shift perspectives, to have
Mm.
observation, and observation means all of your senses, right? Not just seeing, to be curious, to have an open mind, right? What does that look like? And I just looked at all the elements that affect creative thinking. They were the same elements that affect cultural competence, cultural development, which is your
Huh.
ability to interact with one another, especially
Within a defined culture, as you said earlier,
yes, and
like it's
interact
the
with other
soccer
people.
moms or whatever. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
and interact with
Okay.
people from different cultural backgrounds and different lived experiences. Some people are really high in that ability, and some people, sometimes through no fault of their own, they haven't had a lot of practice with
Mm.
just cultural competency, cultural curiosity, and connecting with people from different lived experiences. And so, telling people now that if you're not working on your cultural development, your creativity is taking a hit because they
Mm.
the same set of cognitive skills.
I'm curious what you think about this. you'll hear a lot from comedy coaches or acting coaches or people who are trying to get us in touch with our creativity. They like try to connect with your inner 6 year old, your inner 7 year old. So I'm thinking elementary school, they some will say that's when we are, or maybe we're just discovering our creativity. We're very excited about it. It's all new to us. We don't have any dampers on that. So we're all trying to go back to that. Do you agree with that, or do you think that our creativity matures as we mature?
A little bit of both. I believe we come here with a lot of the skills intact of what it means to think creatively. That's already wired in, and I really believe that now that I have a case study in my home, my five-year old, and I just watch him, and I'm just like, he asks questions that I wouldn't even think about. He's looking at things from multiple perspectives,
Hmm.
and I've spoken about in my previous talks and discussions about how we deal with recognizing things versus really observing them. So if I see, let's like this brain or like a stapler, my brain automatically says, "Oh, that's a stapler and it's meant to staple." His brain is like, "What is this thing? What can it do? It's a
Hmm.
hammer. It's a projectile."
Hmm.
He gives 10 different uses, and that's
Hmm.
called functional agility. And a lot of times adults have this we are not functionally agile. We only see one use for an object. And so my job now is to get America back to the level of functional agility, being able to move things in our mind in different ways, and go through different gates. That's what I call them. Go through different gates in the exploration of whatever problem you're trying to solve.
You remind me of our improv coach who, when he's giving its notes right after we've done a scene, he'll say, "Okay, yes, you chose to wear a black velvet hat. What else was that? What else were you wearing? You may not have said it. What else?" Okay. And he'll say, "Okay, give me 10 things a guy who would wear a black velvet hat." So that's that agility that you were talking about that I loved. And he's constantly doing that for us. And I think that's a muscle that you need to work a lot on. I want to talk to you about one of the challenges about being creative and being, I think there's vulnerability around creativity because you don't know if the idea is any good. You have these ideas. And how does psychological safety and this sense of belonging enhance creative thinking within teams and organizations?
It's huge. It's directly tied, right?
Ah,
Because what we have to understand is the brain, it's Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett talks about how basically it has a budget. It has a metabolic budget. There's so much energy for the day, right? And that's why you have to eat food and go to sleep to re-energize.
okay.
And the brain it's a predicting machine. It needs to predict what's going to happen. It loves routines, right? You get to wake it up with your spontaneous activity. But that's why we like to be around people we know what they're going to do. They're our type of people. We can predict. When you're around new types of people, you can't predict. When you're in a creative pursuit, creativity in itself is, taking a risk, doing something where you may not know the outcome, right? And that's a higher metabolic cost on our brain.
Oh,
And so if you're in a toxic environment, or not, maybe not even in a toxic environment, you're just not in an environment where the leaders haven't done the work to, we call it like synchronizing brains and getting
mm,
everybody on the
mm,
same wavelength, right?
mm, mm.
And entrainment and just having people just vibe well together, that social cohesion. If that hasn't been laid down at the get-go, people aren't going to want to spend the extra metabolic cost that we need to spend to be creative, to take a risk, to possibly do something that might throw people off of what they expect from us. And so great leaders know how to build that psychological safety, know how to synchronize brains, right? Get people doing things together, identifying together, yet still able to uniquely present their own ideas.
I have been told that in a natural state, our brain looks for cognitive ease. It's always looking for the easy way through
Mhm.
to a thing. So if I recognize something, I'm not challenging my brain, to your point, versus cognitive dissonance, where I'm like, oh, I don't really know what's going on. Another person said that confusion means you're about to learn something. So I kind of like that a little bit. I like not
Mhm.
knowing. I feel like that's going to be fun. And finally, if you were talking to a leader, and I think the people who are listening to the show, they are leaders, right? They're looking for information. Um, I completely believe that if you want a culture of creativity in your group, in your team, and whatever that looks like for you, creating safety where all ideas are fine and you encourage that kind of thing. I call it a yes and culture rather than a no but culture, because I'm an improver, so that's where I go. What's the quick coaching bullets for someone?
I have people practice how to remove the idea from them, because a lot of part of
Ah,
creativity is they feel attacked if people attack the idea. So if the ideal is moved from my body, that's why we do things with Play-Doh and Legos. I'm
oh,
talking about
fun.
C-suite and people
Sure.
running
Sure, sure,
multi-million
sure.
and billion-dollar companies building Legos. Let's like, because that's authentically me, right?
Yep,
I'm coming
yep.
from that development background. And once you build an idea, and there's Lego, Serious Play, there's other people doing this as
Sure.
well. But once you build an idea and you put it in the middle of the table, you get to interact with the ideas, and
Yes.
you get to see different perspectives of
Mm,
something that you never thought about. It's
mm,
beautiful, and we get to play off. Our brains are interacting, even without us even understanding what our brains are doing on the sub and non-conscious levels.
right.
And that's really the leader's job. There's a great I met the conductor of the Boston Philharmonic, Benjamin
Oh,
Zander, and he
he's
has
amazing.
a
Oh my
beautiful
gosh.
quote. Yes, he's
Yeah,
brilliant. I
yeah,
saw him teach
yeah.
me right there. Probably one of my mentors. But he said, the conductor's job isn't to be powerful. The conductor's job is to empower others, to
Yes.
recognize their power. And
Yeah,
that was beautiful, because that's the leader's job, right?
yeah.
Empower others to recognize their creativity and their contributions.
In 2005, Benjamin taught the TED audience in Long Beach how to sing Happy Birthday, because it was somebody's birthday. And he had done his talk, or it was before his talk, and he steps into the audience and he's like, "Let's see." He goes, "No, that's not how you sing happy." And he taught us. It was so much fun. I want to
Yeah.
go from the creative to the science. You say that intercultural creativity is backed by neuroscience. Could you give us some insights on how the brain responds to this type of creative process?
Well, I just sat on a 2-day summit for music as medicine, and
Oh,
yes, with the NIH, the National Institute for
yeah,
Health, and the NEA, the National Endowment for Arts. And I believe this is where leadership is going, using all of our faculties to
yeah.
lead well. And we even learned that there's a whole set of neurons in your brain just for music,
No
right? And so
kidding.
when I say creativity, I don't just mean artistry. I
Right,
want people to
right,
understand that
right.
creativity is found in all fields. And I define creativity as problem finding or problem solving with relevance, value, and novelty. And arts are a part of it, though. And so we're presenting the case that creativity isn't solely artistry, but artistry increases your ability to be creative in non-arts areas. And so what we're learning is how the brain is affected with being exposed,
Mm,
to new ideas, new people. My son, like I said, he's 5, so a lot of the things he's doing now, it's new to him, but I get to relive the experience through him. Like, we're learning about bugs. I would just walk past a bug, but now we are going through every part of the bug. We're learning about all the parts of the snail, something that I never really thought of, because my brain says that's a snail, keep on going and pay your bills. But now through him, I get to be fascinated. And learning about the snail is informing my work about XYZ. And
right.
so your highly creative people are always in awe
Mm,
and
mm,
in wonder of the mundane things, because it's informing their work in
mhm,
whatever area that they have to
mhm.
perform.
You know what you have to look forward to is that same sense of awe and wonder through the eyes of a young child happens when you're a grandparent. And so I'm a three-time grandparent, and I have that exact experience with the when they were 5 and 6, and we would go on long walks, each of them. It is just it's a joy, and that's where I get back to that childhood piece of that. So you talk in your framework. Let's kind of land here. You talk about these 7 gems of intercultural creativity. Give me a couple of the shinier ones.
Well, it just shows that this, once again, the same cognitive features in cultural development and to be able to interact with one another are the same as creative thinking. So you have a mindset, having a creative growth mindset. So not just a growth mindset, I would even say a prismatic mindset, right? You're able to
Sure.
use your creativity to empower others. You are empathetic and have an open heart, open
Mhm.
mind. You're curious, you're observant, you're able to shift perspective, you're able to be authentically adaptable. Adaptability is key, but not to the point where you're fake and you don't even know who you are
Right.
anymore, right?
Right.
And
Right.
then the
Right.
last
Right.
gem, then the last gem is being a bridge. The author of a wonderful book that I love, he said that the art of innovation, the key innovators are at the intersection of culture, of fields, and different disciplines. They're at
Mm,
the connecting points. And so
mm,
leaders need to see who are those connectors. Like me, I'm an educator and I'm in neuroscience
mm,
and I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a writer and I'm a poet and I've taught music for 10 years. You know, my foot isn't everywhere. My brother works for a space company. My twin sister's an astrophysicist. So I'm just aware of these different fields. And then my brain, my subconscious, puts things together. Those are the people that you want to mark and really give that space to share what they see and what they hear.
Janine, thank you so much for sharing all this with our TEDx audience. They are all smarter, more interesting, and more creative now after listening.
It's been a pleasure to be here. Thank you.